Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast where we try to solve the riddle of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
Gerald Christopher Conquistador Porter.
And I'm Ken Plume, not Harrison Ford.
Welcome back, Mr. Not Ford.
I'm just here because I have to be, and I kind of like the character sometimes.
Beautiful. Well, you're just in time to help us out with minute 38 of Crystal Skull, which begins with Indy identifying Francisco de Orianna to Mutt, and it ends with Indy deciphering Ox's message about Orianna's cradle.
Well, and I'm not sure who this guy in the book is, but it's not Orianna.
Oh, come on. Really?
Really?
No, Orianna had lost his eye right when he got to the New World. And
he can't be idolized in whatever painting his documentary. I almost said photo.
Well, he also died when he was 35, and I have a hard time believing that guy's 35.
I'm amazed he's a real guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's
that guy, I mean, you know how it was back then, Pete. It's like he's like 19.
Yeah.
Actually, what I want to know is what is that little thing next to him?
The little mask?
Like, okay, yeah, is that a mask or is that an alien?
Well, isn't that the thing about it? Looks like a mask.
Yeah.
But don't they later, aren't we? Yeah, they find the gold mask on him. He's wearing the gold mask.
Yeah.
So was this painted in the New World then?
I guess. Do you get painted with your death
Did he bring
mask
his mask with him?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was it a death mask, or was it just like, this was the thing he used to love to wear just in parties and things?
It makes me look cool.
Let's cocoon him with it.
Yeah. Well, they always painted him with an eye patch, like old Indy. So it seems like his death mask would have an eye patch too.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to get your portrait painted and you could fix any one thing, maybe put the eye back. I don't know. It was a choice.
Yeah. Heightened reality. Has anyone on the face of the earth who's not a fictional character ever said the phrase, "just as I thought"?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay. Just checking.
I've used that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But just as I
was
thought,
going to say
you
that.
only say if you're super, super affected in the way you speak.
Yeah, right. If you're Sherlock Holmes, maybe. Or apparently Indiana Jones in the scene. Just as I thought.
Mm-hmm. Just as I
An
thought.
Agatha Christie character.
Right.
I mean, maybe he
Right.
realizes that he's not going to get a very good conversation out of Mutt, so he's been internally talking to himself about what he thinks might be the case with
Did
this.
you think that, Indy? I sure did, Indy. That's great, Indy.
You're always right. I should trust you more.
I have a question here. Is Indy holding Oxley's letter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what that is? Because I feel like it says a hell of a lot more than it's the Nazca line.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is just, please take care of my fish.
Right. Well, it's like
I had laundry
Henry
in the washing
Sr.'s,
machine.
It's like the Grail Diary from the last one. That had like 100 pages and only 3 of them had anything on it or anything.
3,
useful
7, 10.
Yeah.
Get it? Now we can throw this thing away. There's a squiggly line. That's a map.
Dad, what are
Throw
all
that
these
away, too.
drawings of naked ladies?
Yeah. You use this entire diary for naked
Give me
lady
back
drawings.
my book.
You do, though, going back to what Jerry said, you get a really nice shot of the cross of Coronado, which I'm not sure why that's on there.
Oh, good. Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
on the sheet. Yeah, you're
On
right.
the letter, yeah.
That's funny. Well, maybe it's like a,
Remember this failure, Indy?
It hurts, doesn't it?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the whole letter is just him making fun of Indy. Remember when he lost the idol? Remember when he lost the cross?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this clue really obtuse for you. Let's make it into a test for you to see if you can figure it out, smarty pants.
Dum dum.
Yeah, figure this one out, dum-dum.
I like that Mutt comes very close to directly quoting his dad's alter ego when he says, "Oh, you ain't bad in a fight," which is almost exactly what Han Solo says to Luke at the end of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Pretty good in a fight.
Yeah.
Could use you.
It's good.
Yeah.
And then actually, I have a fantastic question that comes off of that, actually. This is a really good question. You're going to like this. Pete, write this down. It's a good question. Indy goes,
Is this
in
in his Grail
response to
diary?
that, he's like, yeah, write this in here, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull diary. Mutt says, you ain't bad in a fight. And Indy sort of like, what's the word? Indy sort of sarcastically says, oh, thanks a lot. Does Indiana Jones recognize, or does he think of himself as an adventurer? Does he, like when he's responding like that, is he saying like, oh yeah, I can hold my own in a fight or something? Or is he thinking, oh yeah, I'm Indiana Jones. I'm Indiana Jones. I'm an adventurer. I go around, I beat up Nazis. I should be dead by now.
I mean,
I do all
he's
these
pretty
amazing
smug
things.
throughout this movie about these various moments he finds himself in and
Yeah.
things
Right.
to figure out. I think he's fully invested in what he can do by now.
I guess so. Yeah.
I don't think he's
he
humble.
must
I
be.
think you can only have so many near-death paranormal encounters that you somehow make it through before you get a little cocky.
Right.
He
But
did
then even, like,
survive
earlier, like, Mutt says-
an atom bomb.
Yeah, the atom bomb didn't take him down. He must be an adventurer. But like Mutt earlier on, he says like, "Oh, so you're like a grave robber or something?" He's like, "No, I'm a teacher. I'm a tenured professor." And there's no like twinkle in his eye of like, "Well, yeah, you call it grave robbing. I call it, running around the world, having misunderstandings, and
Well, I think part of that is because he is kind of smug now. Like he doesn't have to prove himself to this kid. Like he's not saying anything to try to be like, no, I'm actually a grave robber. I'm actually really good in a fight. Like, you're just kind of like, yeah,
I
whatever.
mean, it's also kind of weird how quickly he accepts Mutt into his confidence and home.
Yeah.
This
That's true,
kid
yeah.
is still a stranger to him, no matter
Right.
what.
I had a question about that. So did they then go from, the Marshall Library to Dean Charlie's house?
Yeah, wait, aren't they being chased by Russians?
That's
Aren't they,
what I
like,
was
on the
going to
run?
say.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't know. Don't you think
Well, you
that
didn't see the library blow up behind them as they drove away,
Yeah.
taking the
Tossing
Russians out
grenades
with it.
behind them.
wouldn't the Russians or
Know that he was there?
Or the FBI would stake out his house?
yeah, something.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Somebody?
See, what kind of adventurer could he be if he doesn't pick up on that kind of stuff?
I mean,
it's like basic,
yeah.
As we discussed in the last minute, this is just a rough outline for a film. This will get sorted out
once they do
in the
final
second draft. Yeah. Once David Koepp has a few more revisions under his belt.
He'll get there.
We're all missing something huge though in this scene. Two huge things. One, if you look behind Indy, there's a statue that looks like two guys fighting over the Holy Grail,
Oh yeah,
which is pretty cool. But even
yeah.
way
that's
bigger
funny.
than that, behind
It's a fertility
Indy,
statue. They're always fertility statues.
Yeah.
yes. But behind Indy, there's a photo of Willie Scott wearing her red dress on his dresser.
Are
Whoa,
you
get out of
kidding
here!
me?
Wait, a
No,
minute.
it's how did he get, like, did Lao She send him a publicity photo later? Like, oh, you probably missed this lady. Or did
Well, he has publicity stills from Last Crusade on his desk of Marcus and
Yeah.
and Henry.
He's on the mailing list for all the publicity materials for all the previous films.
but he wouldn't have been able to take a picture of Willie Scott after, because the red dress kind of got destroyed.
Yeah, and they didn't have color photography.
That was hand colored. That was during his hand coloration phase when he was.
I guess so.
Maybe he commissioned it.
What second is that, Pete? I want to see that.
Yeah, it's small. If you're watching, you can zoom in on it. If you're,
Yeah.
it's not.
Can the
very
fifth film
prominent.
bring Willie Scott back?
I was
Sure.
kind of hoping this one would.
There was talk of that, of like having
Yeah.
her and Marion like chatting it up and stuff.
Second 24.
And Elsa pops
Get
out of the
outta
ground with the Grail.
Oh, wow.
Like you can see on his dresser back there next to the lamp. If you zoom in, it's a picture of Willie Scott wearing a red dress.
Oh my god!
Pete,
Yeah, I
what
can't see
what
that
are
at
you,
all
an
on this, but
owl?
That's amazing. Oh, you know what? That's a totally meta reference to Blade Runner. He stuck it in his machine. He said, 3 by 43 and then augment and then
Pete, because you have such supernatural senses. What at the beginning of this minute? What does Indy say right after he says Conquistador? What does he say?
Remember the guy who got lost looking for the skull?
Okay, so you know what's really weird? His inflection is not at all of that of a question.
It's true. Yeah.
It's that's why I couldn't, I thought that's maybe
Yeah.
what he said, but he doesn't. It's a very strange line. He doesn't.
So it's like refer back to your notes.
Yeah, right. Rewind
Remember
to
the
previous
Conquistador.
It's that, or it's like with Marcus. Marcus didn't get his moment of respect, so he's like, let's give this guy his moment of respect. Remember this guy.
Yeah.
scene. Yeah.
Really disappointed in how this film is disrespecting the dead.
Right.
I do have to say this is all gibberish in here too. Like when he says pre-Columbian syllabic base, there are no diagonal stresses on these ideograms. And saying he if he could translate it, if he walked it through Mayan, would be like saying, "Oh, I can translate this ancient Chinese if I walk it through Norwegian."
Yeah, if I teach myself Norwegian.
Yeah, like
I mean,
none of these things have anything
that sounds
to do with
plausible
each other.
to me.
And by the way, if anybody's curious, I timed it. And he deciphers this thing in exactly 30 seconds. If you go from when he says, "Oh, just as I thought, Kioma," or whatever it is, and then he says, and then he slaps on the thing, it's a riddle. It's exactly 30 seconds. So
Take that, Ox.
That's a good teacher.
You know what? You know what's really sad.
Tired of doing your homework for you.
I have one note here. I
Uh-huh.
only have a few notes on this minute. And he says I might be able to read a bit if I walk it through mine first. And it's one of my favorite lines in the movie.
No, it's a great line, but it doesn't make, because Mayan is from like central Mexico and Coyahoma is from Peru. So I mean those are really, really far apart and have no relation to each other.
Again, it's just a very loose outline. This will all get sorted out. He's going to run it by some
We're just
experts.
spitballing, just running some stuff up the flagpole.
He didn't get some emails replied back to in time. They had to go into production. Listen, it was very
Studio's
difficult.
going to have notes. It's a whole thing.
At least, it sounds like he sprinted it through Mayan.
Yeah.
Took it.
Yeah. But it kind of speaks to their understanding of, like, you get some little flashes of, they did a little bit of research, and then it's kind of like, well, everything south of Texas is basically the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But this feels just like more like Indy's just bullshit way through it.
Yeah.
This more than anything, like, I don't get a sense that he is an expert in this.
Mm-hmm.
And who's he talking to? Again, it's this complete stranger that's in his living room.
Yeah. It is true. Every time he says something with authority about archaeology or about ancient civilizations, you're always like, "Oh, really?" Indiana Jones knows stuff. Wow. All right. Look at you.
Someone's read a book
Yeah. Show off.
in the library. But yeah, it's comparing this, because this is one of those scenes. There's a lot of parallels in this film to Force Awakens. Speaking of Star Wars, in that sort of, what can we do to be evocative of the films you love? So
Right.
you have that emotional attachment. And this is, the scene with the agents of him explaining the arc lore
Mhm.
in Raiders.
Yeah.
And
Even though we already
instead
had
it's-
one of those scenes. Yeah. This is like the second one of those. in
Yeah,
movie.
and this is like the fast forwarded version of it.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna this is a big info dump
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
with a character who doesn't care. Which if you're using, let's say you're watching this film for the first time and Mutt's your proxy,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't care about this either. Because Mutt
Right.
throughout this scene really doesn't
Yeah.
care at all.
He wants to
what
save
he's
his
saying.
mom and Oxley, but he's not. Yeah. He's Nazca lines. You don't say. Tell me more, Dr. Jones.
And he's kind of clearly spending most of the time trying to figure out, based on his line, exactly what age Indy is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually think that's a funny line. I actually like that. What are you, like 80?
I do.
So
too.
whole-
Like tossed off. That's
The
funny.
whole point is all he cares about is, you're not bad in a fight.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
like, that's all he cares about.
You know how much grease I lost in that chase? I got to.
Yeah, you owe me.
I wonder if there's is there Coca-Cola on Indy's mantle? Is that
Oh.
why he's styling his hair in front of the mirror there?
yeah. Got some dipping sauce cola.
I got a
Yeah.
hot date tonight. Let's wrap this up.
Well, it's weird because Mutt is like combing his hair and stuff, but he's also obviously paying attention because he asks him, like when Indy says his whole little nonsense about pre-Columbian whatever, Mutt's like, "Oh, you speak it?" So he's obviously listening, which is interesting. Like I
Yeah.
hadn't
But he-
really caught that before.
But listening in a dickish way.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
either where are you going with this character? Is he secretly interested in all this stuff and just playing at being disinterested and being this sort of greaser, aloof putz?
Mhm. Yeah, we've sort of been like working with the idea that he is like kind of putting on a lot of this. Like he's getting
Mhm.
angry for no reason. He's putting on this leather jacket look, this kind of biker look, and he's trying out this personality and kind of, doing this instead of like actually being this.
Which is
Mhm.
a
So
weird
maybe that
time
kinda-
to do it when it's, a kidnapped, very close friend of the family who practically raised you, according to him.
Yeah.
It seems not the time to be aloof and playing an aloof character.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
So and this is how you're introduced to him, and you don't know any of the connection that comes later about Marion
Mhm.
to give him, a little more depth of backstory to any of this. And
Yeah.
he's not even aware at this moment that this guy's his dad. So
Right.
why are you? And this is the one again going back to a fundamental problem with the film is what is the emotional attachment in the movie?
Yeah.
Who is the
Mhm.
character that you're invested in? What is the journey? You don't know Ox.
Yeah.
As
We're
a
supposed to care
character.
about Ox, but we've never met him.
Yeah. So why do I
Yeah.
care that he's been kidnapped for whatever reason?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And Raiders sort of made a better case for, and you didn't even get a sense, you got a better sense of who Marion Ravenwood, I'm not Marion, Abner Ravenwood was
Mm-hmm.
to Indy based on Harrison Ford's acting in that moment and being concerned, but instantly linking it to a thing that he was working on and what they're looking for and what they're trying to
Yeah.
find. And
Mhm.
you could actually see, talking about this scene, him putting together the pieces of this mystery and how these things connect, which makes you
Yeah.
super impressed with Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's got deductive skills. He's got, this archaeology knowledge. He's got this, historical context of things to put in. He can put the pieces together where these, yutzes from
Yeah.
the State Department can't.
And you also hear about Marion right away too. Like, oh, you think she'll still be with him? Like, you don't get the whole story, but you kind of get what's going on. There's like, oh, there's a girl. He might have been, there's some connection for him there.
I feel like when I watched this for the first time, I already knew that Mutt was Indy's son, and I feel like almost everybody
Yeah.
knew that going in. And I'm curious if anyone listening didn't know that going in.
Right.
Like I feel
That
like that was
doesn't seem
almost
possible.
a
I
given
still don't
before
know
we
it.
watched.
Well, that gets to my big question. Why don't they just say why doesn't Mutt say to Indiana Jones when he meets him, my mom, Marion Ravenwood, is in deep trouble and she needs your help? And then for the rest of the movie, we're like, oh my God, he's got to save Marion.
That would be a Lassie episode.
Yeah.
You know where I realize that I'm not invested in these characters and I don't I'm not
Minute
comfortable
6. No.
Yeah. I'm not comfortable ever calling them the Ox.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
And that's where it falls down. It's because he keeps saying, yeah, the Ox said, and then he's like, oh, you mean the Ox? And it's like, the Ox. And it's like, I don't know this guy like that.
Yeah.
Now, but if it had been Sala
Yeah.
or someone we actually had an investment in that
Mhm.
was out in the field that we've seen before in these films, then I
Mhm.
might have had that sort of connection to it. Or if, Short Round sent me.
Mhm.
Right. Well, what's frustrating is we have that person. We have Marion, but we don't know it, or we don't quote unquote
Yeah.
know
Because,
it yet.
because it's playing a coy, cagey game
Yeah.
that it doesn't need to, because also, as you said, anyone who saw any publicity for the film ahead of time, trailers, interviews, anything. Knows Karen Allen's back. Knows Marion Ravenwood's back.
She's on the poster, I think.
Yeah.
Like as you're walking into the theater.
Why are you being
Marion.
cagey with this knowledge when you could
It's
have
not like
actually
there's a huge reveal? Yeah.
Yeah, you could have invested an emotional heft and drive to this by she's in trouble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, you're Marion's son. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to show that he's the dad yet, but of course you get that. But like, oh my God, you're the son of Marion Ravenwood. Marion Ravenwood's in trouble. Oh my God. I'm going to solve this thing in 20 seconds.
Which would be an even more awkward for Indy to be like, oh, it fell apart with Marion. She went on. She had a kid. She had a life without me. You could have developed the character of Indiana Jones further rather than, this nothing info dump of a scene where you really don't get any insight into anything. There's no drive. I don't feel like I'm being propelled to, we must go. In a scene as simple as, I hate the fact that I have to keep going back to Raiders on this. I feel like a broken record.
You're not alone.
You see, that scene of him talking with, a competent Marcus as he's packing. And when the last thing he throws in his bag is the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you realize what the stakes are of this journey, and he understands what the stakes are of this journey. And it's not played for laughs. You're not getting quips from Marcus about, what are you, 80?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
So there's not banter like that going on. Marcus throughout that is treating the situation with genuine concern.
Yeah.
Like, this is a dangerous situation. You don't have to do that. What, this is not, why are you doing this? And so you're seeing the ratchet up of the tension in that. And the music also is not undercutting that, which you get a lot of undercut. And I'm going to, I don't know how much of that is Williams and how much of that is what Williams saw on screen. How much of that was dictated by the tone and tenor of what Spielberg wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of just comedic orchestration beats within this.
Yeah.
The score undercuts a ton of the drama in the film because he plays it like a larky, and in a phrase we used in the last episode, a romp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess that's what they wanted to do. I don't know.
That's what I was saying. Like, this is what they wanted to do. I mean, they know what they're doing. They may, and that makes me. That's why I pose that. Last minute, which is, maybe if they could go back and do a George Lucas thing of Raiders, maybe they'd put camel farts in. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
is that
that's
going to be
how
a patron exclusive that you can have the camel fart cut of?
Yeah, maybe that's always what they wanted. I don't know.
I can't watch Raiders and think they wanted that because because you go into Temple of Doom. And it's not that. We talked about last minute about the fact that, yes, there are beats in there that are comedic, but 80% of that film is dark.
Yeah.
In tone and tenor. Mm-hmm. And it is only when you get a very, very chastised Spielberg and Lucas on the other side of that who took the wrong lesson from that film. Into Last Crusade, that you get them. We're going to make it a romp. We're going to make it light and fun and an adventure. And it's not going to be a pulp serial.
Right. Because, it doesn't have to be dark. It doesn't have to be like people getting shot in the face. It doesn't have to be like, dark and violent, but it does have to be. There's got to be
the reality.
Realistic.
Grounding it. Yeah.
And I hear people grow realistic. The guy's face melts off and stuff, and whatever. Yeah, yes, it's a crazy.
Yeah, but you don't go into yakety sax after that.
Right? Yeah, you don't underscore
with the chase through the mines.
Cool thing you do with some banana peel. Yeah.
Also, somebody please add yakety sax to a sped up version of the mine chase in Temple of Doom.
Yeah. I feel bad. There's a lot of people who love this movie. I feel bad.
You know what? That there's I don't know any of them. But apparently I want to
hear. I'm hearing a lot of some people, and people are saying, and I want to hear.
No, my brother knows a guy.
Yeah. My cousin's brother's sister's roommate.
No, there are a lot of people who come to it and they don't they see it a little bit, that they accept it or enjoy it more as like sort of the family
Except
adventure
it's not
thing.
an endorsement.
We
Right.
we thought that, if you saw Raiders first, usually that was your favorite movie. Like, and for some people who maybe saw Temple of Doom first or Last Crusade first, some of it could be generational. Then
That's huge.
we've sort of discovered that as we've been doing the podcast. How these films land in your lap, in your life. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, so you don't feel like a tension that like Indiana Jones is in peril. Like that's one of the things. Even though if you
Yeah,
see Raiders,
yeah.
you're like, oh, of course he's not going to die. He's our hero. But from
Right.
moment to moment, you feel he's in peril. It's palpable.
Yeah. During
You
the
don't.
truck chase, my heart is in my throat because I'm worried.
Yes.
I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm upset. It sounds like something really upsetting is going to happen, or could. Like there's a dangerous situation.
Sure.
The guy gets shot in the arm. The music is like this kind of thudding, propulsive thing. And it's not like, light little flutes and dingly danglies.
But that also, unlike this film, and I'd say that this started with Last Crusade, is in those first two films, in Raiders and Temple of Doom, you got a sense that Indy was being beaten up. That you got a
Yeah.
palpable
Definitely,
sense of there being
hurt.
a physical effect and repercussions of him being hurt, of it sort of lingering. The fact that the
Yeah.
film slowed down enough on the ship to show, those wounds being, felt.
Yeah.
And
they
him
made
in
an awesome scene
genuine
out of it.
pain. Yeah, and a character building scene. Whereas this just rolls from, and it's a much older Indy, which makes it even more of a noticeable thing that
You should have an oxygen tank with him the whole time.
yeah. Why are you not referencing, and I, not to use a hackneyed, I'm too old for this, but
Right.
there should be more of a sense rather than the occasional, I missed that drop, I misjudged the distance kind of things. It's like, no, you should be in pain running across a scaffolding. You should feel those
He
hits.
just went through a windshield. Yeah.
And you never get a sense that he feels anything like he felt in those first two. That
Right.
and it's like, and that's the weird thing about this is that watching it, it's a cumulative effect because it's like it steadily divests you of concern for the character.
Right.
And it just becomes a series of what's next? What's that? Okay. Huh? What? And you're just barreling through it. And there's just an emotional disconnect to the film. And I don't know. I would hope it's not as simple as if this was the first one you're exposed to, then this is how you love Indy. I would hope that if this was the first one you were exposed to, you may have an affection for it as maybe your introduction to the character, but then you went and discovered better films starring that character, and that's where you truly became invested in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like this is the entryway pass through, and then when you get to the real Indiana Jones, not.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone actively defending this.
I mean,
I'm curious to know the arguments they would make, and I'm not saying this in a confrontational.
I'm sure we're
way.
hearing them right now.
Right now. You know what? A lot of people.
Let us know in the Listeners Crusade on Facebook.
A lot of people come to this and they kind of smack us across the face and they go, "Come on, it's fun." I mean, they're like, "It's fun. What's wrong with you guys?" That's all. That's kind of like, half the stuff that happens in Raiders isn't realistic. So, it kind of becomes like that. They're like, "You're showing up. It's Indiana Jones. Have a good time, will you?"
Yeah.
Oh, so it's the turn off your brain popcorn defense.
I guess so.
I guess so.
I don't know.
Some of it.
I would like to hear more directly from
folks.
And
well, the three of you out there,
and I'm more than
write
happy. Yeah. and I would genuinely love to hear on my social media as well.
Yeah.
In a polite discussion kind of way. It's not like I'm going to call you an idiot or anything like that. We're
all friends. We all
I'm genuinely, just as a structure thing, when you're talking about in this scene, and about the gibberish spouted.
Yeah.
In just hand waving its way through his discerning what is being said and what is there before him. It's those little beats where you go, you know what? Fine, if you want to enjoy it, but there's a laziness to the storytelling on this that is, I think, a valid criticism of going, well, who are these characters? Why do you care? What is, if you're going into this fresh, who's Marion to you? Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
Also, why is her portrayal so wildly, fluctuating across the time that she's on screen? Is she competent? Is she a goofball? Have they made her into Marcus? She's been in situations. She's been off adventuring too.
There's a big why right here in this scene that I really don't understand. Why did Oxley write this information to Indy in a riddle? Why did he make it a riddle?
I'm assuming he thought that the letter would be opened.
Yeah, but Indy says that they let him go, that they let Marion go so that she would get the letter to Indy because they needed Indy to decipher it. So if they can't read it at all, why does he then make it so that the deciphered information is then a riddle? Why
didn't they have it with them when they captured him at the beginning of the film? Why did they let it go through normal or, through mutt? Why did they let it get to that point? I mean, there were points at the beginning of the film that Indy could have been killed. If you need him to translate it, why wasn't that the first thing? Hey, you're out of the trunk. Read this.
Yeah.
And then help us find this thing. Yeah.
Well, wait, doesn't Oxley write things down unorthodoxly?
He does, Jerry.
to quote you there, Tom Taylor.
I believe it's unorthodoxly.
But I mean, isn't it? He can't communicate any other way, right?
It seems like, we don't know what's going on.
I feel it. I mean,
phone calls and letters and
he got his moose
when we
juice.
get down there, it seems like that's the case.
Yeah, his moose juice. He got a mouthful of goose juice.
Right.
Yeah, but there's nothing in the scene later when you see what he's doing in the cell that he's doing any of this with purpose. If he's intentionally nesting a secret message to be delivered to Indy, who will be the one who can decipher it, then that shows a sense of purpose that we don't see him capable of. He can't even get proper help without running to the enemy to bring them back for help later.
And it just seems like an extra step that doesn't need to be there. Like that he wouldn't, and that he wouldn't think of or be capable of at this point.
Yeah. So is he either feigning it? Is he not feigning it? Why doesn't Indy go bonkers later?
Yeah.
Just from exposure to the skull. Why?
Lots of questions.
So
lots of riddles without you having to write a riddle. Lots of riddles in this movie.
Why can't people just be straightforward?
Yeah.
Well, here's a question.
Yeah.
When Mutt asks, "What are you, like 80?" and Indy slams the letter down on the coffee table, and then a second later,
I'm 79. No.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, is he mad about that crack, or is he just thinking about it's a riddle at the time and that's why he throws it down?
No, you know what's frustrating? They film it because they want you to think that Indy is mad about that crack. Because I watched this several times, and that's how they film it. You know what I mean? But no, he's not. He's not even listening to Mutt at all. Yeah. So
that's true.
It's kind of one of those trickarooskies. I have a question. At second 34, what does Mutt eat?
Oh yeah, he's chewing
gum.
some gum, I think.
Yeah,
is that what it
gum
is?
out. Yeah,
I figured it was like it's Indy's house. It's like an apple from the Garden of Eden.
I tried to look up what gums were the most popular in the 50s, and like we're gonna have a whole discussion about what gum do we think Mutt is chewing, but then I decided not to. What?
It's clearly Sen, right?
Oh, I don't. What really? I don't know. What is that?
Is that the mint? It's the mint from the 50s. Sen.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Okay.
Referenced in the Billy Joel song. It's still rock and roll to me.
Oh. All right.
because I wanted to pull that in, because why not make everything nonsensical and everything we're tying together here? There is another thing that this sort of prompts, and just sort of summarizing why I think this thing is just annoying to me in this scene, in the machinations. And it's an issue that I have with like Stephen Moffat as a writer for Doctor Who, is that there's a point, and this is, I think, maybe an issue with the entire film, where you get so enamored with the clockwork of the mystery and the story you're trying to put together that you don't pay attention to anything else. And it's all about, look how clever I am. And I think this film tries to be so clever in its feints and bait and switch and the plot and what it really means and the motivations and all that, that everything else is just, and it's not even a good piece of clockwork as far as all of those things.
Like, the feints are barely there.
But it seems like they kept that, there was a desperate try to do that, like layer in all these things and make it this dense piece.
Yeah.
Which, it's trying again to be referential to Raiders, which sort of naturally laid out these things. We had you laying in like the Staff of Ra and about, why the Nazis got it wrong when they were, using their staff. And this film tries to do all that and lay all those things in there.
Yeah.
And it just
Last
falls
Crusade
on its
did
face.
that too. And I got confused during Last Crusade. Like there were just too many little like half-baked
and
this
why
map of the thing goes to the thing. Yeah, just like, you're all after a thing. Just go after the thing.
Why are these markings on the library floor? Who went to that kind of trouble to why was that a necessary thing? But that goes back to like pirate treasure maps and how the films treat those things. It's like
Raiders was very A to B to C to D, you need this to do this, and then you've done that, and then you can go do that thing. Like it's very kind of, cause and effect.
But all the discoveries also seem organic. And they don't feel as forced in this. Like there's a pacing to the discoveries in that feels a lot more genuine than, ramrodding 57 discoveries and plot motivation into this single minute we just watched of here's who it is. Here's the guy. Here's this letter. What's in this letter? Here's the thing we found. Oh, it's a secret. It's a code. I know this code. We got to walk it through this.
And I've watched this movie a few times since we started doing this, and I literally cannot tell you how the alien at the beginning of the movie in Area 51, whatever, I don't know how that factors into this movie. I literally don't. I couldn't tell you.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like there's
like,
all these things just being tossed.
Yeah.
There's there's like mind control stuff. There's Nazca lines. It's like
but that goes into stuff. The gimmick aspect. Because that seems like, well, we want to start out in the warehouse. And it's got to be Area 51 because it's aliens.
Yeah.
And we have to show the Ark, of course.
That's got to be a beat.
But then the end of this movie takes us to a completely different place. As we get, I keep thinking about The Mummy because George Romero wrote a draft of that. But at the end of this, we get
is that true?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Follow the lines in the earth. Only gods can read, or follow the lines that only the gods can read. Blah blah blah. Guarded by the living dead. And so it's like now we've got zombies.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That would have been cool.
Well, can I just say right here? Can I, get a sad bell? Because there are no gods. There are no gods in the movie.
Isn't that debatable, Jerry? What about the chariots and the gods and the things and the stuff?
Well, that's what they're going for.
Nice.
Yeah, that's totally what they're going for.
Maybe we are each our own gods. Have you ever considered that?
Yeah, we're the gods of the ants.
Well, so far as now this minute, and I think I just want to check in with you, Tommy, for last minute. Mm-hmm. Just real quick, let's get our Doppler radar out. What's the Mutt watch?
I'm getting what Ken is saying about his sort of not caring about what's going on and being sort of lackadaisical, even though his mom is in peril and stuff, and he's being a little bit of a brat. But I'm still sort of on Mutt's side.
Yeah,
I think I think he's solid for what he is, and I think Mr. LaBeouf is doing a good job.
Yeah.
I think I'm still on board.
I'm with you. I don't see the storm clouds gathering. I'm like, yeah. I even like his split. It's a little nuts, but
Right.
he's not.
And he enjoyed going under the table with his dad on the.
Well,
on
I
the
can't
motorcycle.
wait until we talk about the next minute. I hope you have me back for that.
We will have you back. Yes, you must come back so we can continue our mutt watch. And
Because I see storm clouds on the horizon.
Well, speaking of storm clouds on the horizon, yes.
Yeah.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter.
Oh my God.
Ooh, question for Tommy, because you're not
That's
Tom.
me.
You're Tommy to my sister. You always
you,
will
Jerry.
be.
Thank you, Gerald.
Do you like riddles?
I don't get it. Oh, do I like riddles? Sure. Yeah, I like riddles.
All right. Next question, real quick.
Well, riddle me this.
Yeah.
Who decorates Indy's house?
Probably Dean. What's his name?
Yeah, Dean Charlie.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's
Way too
got
much
a
house for
big
Indiana
house,
Jones.
and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of
a lot of artifacts that never found their way into a museum.
Yeah, exactly.
This will look great on my coffee table, and this will look great on my mantle. And...
It's probably clear.
This will look good in the sitting room.
Yeah. Probably
What
Cleopatra's
was that,
couch.
Do you think internally he just considers his home a museum, so it jives with his own personal philosophy?
Oh, there you go. The Indiana Jones Museum.
It's
Everything
safer
belongs there.
here. Also pretty.
Well, I think that does it for 38. Ken, you must come back on Friday. You're not allowed to weasel out of this. You got to come back.
Oh.
But in the meantime, where should people find you? Because people are going to want to have words with you about your take on Crystal Skull, either pro or con. They're either going to say, yes, brother, you spoke truth to the people, or they're going to say, listen, you don't get this movie.
It's
Why
popcorn. You
give
just
me a hard
enjoy
time?"
it. It's a fun ride.
Well, where can they get in touch with you and have words with you?
They can find me at Ken Plume on Twitter, or InstaKenPlume on Instagram, or KenPlume.com, which links out to a whole bunch of stuff, or listen to A Bit of a Chat, which is the podcast that I do.
That's right.
So
Excellent.
all of those places. And I'm just glad between all of us that we made it through this.
We did. We've come this far, and we're not stopping. Well, we're stopping for a day, but then we're coming up back on Friday, and it's going to be great for minute 39 of Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
The guy got lost looking for the skull. It's a weird line. The guy got lost looking for